Hey everybody!
Hi!
Today we are talking about, Janae, how would you phrase this? This is like, so it's not, I was going to call it like the 7 key successful things that like entrepreneurs do, but I felt like that was way too...
It was even hard for you to
say. And it just feels tired. It feels like a very tired. So I wanted
it's
to...
It's like all about that entrepreneurial life.
Yeah, I wanted to focus it more on what does the life of somebody who's entrepreneuring, like actually...
Entrepreneuring? Is that even a word?
It is now. And what does it look like day to day?
Yeah.
Like what are the, I don't want to say like the 7 successful habits of, but like these are just things that I'd say like non-entrepreneur people maybe wouldn't do. Sure. And we do as part of our life.
Yeah, or if that's something that you strive to be, like maybe you have ideas for multiple businesses and you just want to get into that mindset and that lifestyle, these are things that maybe will help you get there.
Exactly. So yeah. So the way that we're going to organize this is that I have a top 10 list that I pulled from a website with that really like clickbaity thing. Mm-hmm. These are things that you're going to hear more times than not, and then kind of our interpretation of it or how to actually put that into practice.
Or if it's even practical. We've been doing this a lot with our videos. I kind of feel like this is maybe becoming our thing. We find these clickbaity articles that you're going to see when you Google things and then tell you if that's actually valid or not, if it's worth paying attention to or not. So that's what we're doing here too.
Yeah. So let's start with number 1. On this clickbaity list was saying get educated, saying like, you know,
get educated,
go to
get connected for free with Education Connection. That will never leave my head.
That is only funny for people of a certain age
who watch TV
at a certain time. So they go on to talk about like, oh, going to school is kind of your best foundation and blah, blah, blah. I don't really agree with that.
Nick doesn't.
I don't agree.
And I do to a certain extent. Obviously, it's important to know your stuff.
Yes.
But I went to college. I got a bachelor's degree. I started grad school, but I'm a grad school dropout, working on my MBA. And Nick didn't. He didn't do that.
No, I started working in TV production.
Right out of high school.
2 weeks out of high school.
2 weeks out of high school, right.
I've been making it happen ever since then.
My undergrad degree, we've talked about this in a previous video, one of our first videos, it's in music composition. So that's not what I'm doing anymore. And a lot of people that I meet, they're in a similar situation. I feel like it's rare to meet someone who goes to undergrad right out of high school, picks a degree, and then is still doing that when they reach age 30.
I would say...
maybe like in the sciences or something like that, if you're pre-med going to med.
To me, the practical takeaway or the interpretation of this like get educated is to always be open to learning and to read. And that to me is more, I'd say, something that I'm doing in my day-to-day life. I don't know if you can see it back there. I got my little bookshelf on my desk. I have some books that Janae got me for Christmas, but I'm always trying to read a chapter of something that I heard on a podcast that was interesting. If I hear a new idea somewhere, sometimes I'll just call Janae and be like, hey, I heard about this thing. It could be really influential in this other thing. Let's put some time on the calendar and let's talk about it. I'm just open to new ideas, new experiences, newness, and I think that's the better way to look at that instead of just saying like, go get educated, get your little box, and then go take that box elsewhere.
But chances are, if you're watching this video, you probably are already taking this step because you found this video. This is one of the ways you're doing this, and that's great. YouTube videos are honestly, I know, like it's so divided what people think, but some videos are garbage, but there are good ones out there that can give you really good advice.
They really are.
And there are free courses. So if you are someone who enjoys academics, and you want to do something course-based and you also don't want to pay for it, there are free resources out there to do it at your own pace.
I'm like saying no to the courses and classes because I have also taken just while doing other things. free, like there's their gosh, I can't remember where it was now, but there was somewhere where there was a game theory class that was like the game theory class that they teach at Harvard, that was for free online. The entire class with all of the work and all of the tests and everything was up online, and I watched the whole thing. So but I didn't go.
The point is, you don't have to go about getting educated the traditional route that, although depending on
what you're doing,
on your industry,
but for most things,
if you're looking to live an entrepreneurial life, you always need to be learning. You always need to be in a position of being open to learn, willing to learn, willing to have your ideas changed and challenged, and you need to also be seeking out sources for knowledge, for more knowledge, whatever that looks like.
2.
Oh, that was perfectly timed.
That was not on purpose.
It makes me think we should put a little sound effect after each of these numbers.
I'm gonna do like a little music break.
Oh, okay, that works.
I like that music break. They are saying know your market. That's like their second point in this list. We are saying spend time with your customers, spend time where your customers are.
Yes.
They go on to talk about knowing your market, and the solution to that is like having a detailed business plan that talks about the market. I don't personally agree with that. I think that's even more removed, I guess depending on your industry, but more so than knowing your market is like knowing how your market changes. Because if you say like, I'm gonna walk into a Sephora, and then you're like, oh, I got the best idea for a brand, and then you go and you do it and you make a business plan, and it takes you a couple years, and then you're going, and by the time you go to pitch to go back into Sephora does not look the same way that it did when you went in there and had your idea. If you're saying my customer is there, this type of customer with this vibe is totally shopping there, you need to consistently be spending time where your customers are, how they are shopping, where they are shopping, what is the sentiment. You would have been seeing brands leaving Sephora and going into Ulta, and you might go, well, let me go check out Ulta now. If you're not kind of keeping the pulse of where the market is and where your people are, you start to slowly drift apart. And for a time, you can bridge that, but a lot of times when there's companies that don't have a product market fit that did at one point, it's because they were aligned, and then at some point they stopped checking the product market fit, and they just kept going, well, people keep buying. And there was this really interesting podcast about, they were talking about Twitter and saying like, well, if people, don't like lose interest in it, or if people don't trust it, why are people still using it? And there was this concept where people will still continue to engage with a product or use its services even if they've lost trust in it, just solely on the kind of momentum of that relationship, because it's something they've always done. Even if you were to pull them and ask them if they would use this service if it were new again, and what you see is that eventually you have this sudden drop off, and people, analysts will start going like, what is going on? We were doing stuff and people kept buying and people kept engaging, but the trust and really the connection had drifted off long ago, but it just reached to a point of being too far apart, and all of this drop off started to happen. And that can happen if you're not keeping the pulse with your consumers.
Absolutely.
So, but that's, depending on your industry, it's easier or harder, but if you're in like a consumer space, go to where they are. Don't just be like, oh, I know what people want on t-shirts. Like, go to where they are shopping for t-shirts, because things will change. And you might learn different opinions, which kind of goes back up to that first point of just being open to new information, new knowledge. That is also learning.
Yeah.
To not being like, I know what you want, I'm going to make a product for you. Like, you could go and be like, do you like this? Because they might go, oh, actually, I hate it. And be open to that information.
Yeah. The only thing I'm going to add on to that is that this relates to marketing as well. And so as an entrepreneur, be on the social media that your customers are, that be where they are digitally as well, not just in a physical space, in a physical way, but like, depending on if your customers are in the boomer generation, they're on Facebook. So are you on Facebook? Are you watching how they interact, how they use that that platform and how they shop there and how they talk about products there, things like that. That's just an example. But if it's younger, are you on TikTok? Are you doing those things? Are you where they are in the online space as well?
Point number 3. This article says have a financial plan. I am also going to say have a financial plan. This one I agree with. Another way to think of it is just kind of have a plan for your money. Not to say, well, you're going to do anything business plan related that you say, oh, I don't even know how to get into that. But even if it's just like, I'm going to make sure that I am reinvesting most of my money into X, and I really want to put some into the stocks, and I want to be saving some. Even if you're just like, I'm going to put some, and some, and then whenever there's money coming in, you kind of figure out what that is. Have that plan.
Yeah.
Because if you do not have that plan, your money will find a place to go, but it might not be where you wanted it. Yeah. And then
you should also be reviewing that plan maybe even monthly to make sure that last month you actually followed that plan. And if you didn't, why not? So that in the next month you can make those changes, or maybe that plan isn't going to work for you and you need to adjust.
And again, this is not always. Like, this sounds intimidating, and if I were to hear somebody say like, well, you need to get your financial plans in order, it's not intimidating. It's literally...
We're not talking about like the accounting part of it.
No, you could honestly just have it on as simple as a piece of paper. So that's why you should really have at least a basic financial plan so you have an idea of where your money's going. Number 4. This list is saying communicate well.
Okay.
Sure. I like to say, always, if I wrote down always be closing. Sounds a little cheesy when I say it out loud. I also wrote down take the free practice to refine your pitch and tell your story over and over. So I like to take this idea, anybody who will listen to a pitch, anybody who will listen to, oh, what are you working on? Anybody is not only a potential customer, is a potential lead, is a potential lead to your next lead. Take the opportunity. Don't feel scared. Don't feel like you need to, as another one, protect, like, oh, I can't talk about my idea because somebody might steal it. Nobody's going to steal it. And if they do, it's like ideas are worthless. Execution is everything. So your execution of the idea is what's going to make that idea a thing. It's not that the idea itself was so good that it's going to get momentum just by being a good idea. There are tons of good ideas that don't turn into anything.
Yeah.
So always be working on your pitch. And in doing that, you will start to notice that you have little bits you can cut out. Or maybe there's an area that you can find a quicker way to say something. And you're just going to get that repetition and you're going to naturally start refining it down, and it's going to make you a better communicator.
Yeah.
Number 5. This list says focus on sales. We say always be closing. Again, I wrote. So it kind of ties into the communicating one. Basically, where I'm coming from is that working on sales is like a muscle. Like, again, you're refining your pitch, you're finding better ways to communicate. As you refine that muscle, you're going to get better at it. You're going to increase the speed at which new leads are found, sales are closed, and it's going to get you to a point where if that is not your strong suit and you had to get good at it, awesome. Now that tangents off to just becoming a communication tool because you have refined your communication, and you bring on a salesperson and you let them do it. And then you can keep focusing on sales because you have another person whose sole purpose is to just bring in sales. But focusing on sales and focusing on refining your communication, I think kind of really, really go hand in hand. And then as soon as you can hire somebody, if that's not your strong suit, do so. Number 6. They are saying to stay flexible. That was like their little bullet point for number 6. what they mean, I think there's like, I kind of get it and I kind of want to build on it, maybe tweak it. What they mean is that progress only moves forward. If you lose a client, you go and you get another one. If you release a product that fails, you totally misread the market, you take it off the shelf, you liquidate it, you get what money back you can, and you use that information to move on to the next thing. You cannot say like, I built product A, it is going to revolutionize the industry, and it flops, and then you just go, but product A was going to revolutionize the industry. You're not being flexible.
And this is easier said than done. It is, to be fair,
always easier said than done, but it is almost like a superpower if you get really good at it, because you worked
That's how you stay afloat, I think.
You worked on you worked on product A for years, knowing it was going to change the business, and then it fell on its face, and you need to go, project A is dead. We're moving on. What did we learn from that? Great. Put it into project B. We're moving on to project B.
That's hard.
It's hard. It's really hard. But the thing is that you're not getting sales. You're not working on your communication. You're not growing. You're not doing anything by just sitting in it and going, didn't sell. Like, and just trying to like look too far back. Again, not to say don't look back to see what didn't work, but you need to grab that as knowledge for your next thing and move forward and stay flexible and not just kind of stay in this and go like, I lost this thing. You know what I mean? It's going to cripple the business. Momentum is crucial. Yeah. And you know what? I have been saying top 10. It is a top 7 list.
This is the last one then.
So the last 3.
Did you say you said 7 at some point? I think you said both.
At the beginning I said 7 and then I jumped into 10 because I think of the last top 10.
Yeah, it was a 10. Right.
So the last 3
there you go.
are in your heart.
You decide.
You decide.
Anyway, what's number 7 next?
So number 7 is, they say manage stress. Yes. I also say manage stress. Like I would say day to day, that's a great one. But to kind of rephrase it in maybe a way that might click more is, if you are an entrepreneur and you are working in a non-traditional work environment, leverage the lack of a 9-to-5 to your benefit.
Yes.
Because you are probably, if you were in a 9-to-5, I've seen this tons of times, you're in a 9-to-5 and then you go, I'm going to start my own business, and then you get a desk at home and get all set up, and then you just plant yourself. Yeah. And you've gone from your 9-to-5 being planted at a job to being planted here.
And it's when you work from home, sometimes it's even harder to have those boundaries. Yeah. We could do a whole video on that, on managing working from home and boundaries with yourself.
But, like, you have the ability when you're an entrepreneur that to only be worried about results. Yeah. You are delivering, I need to make a product to sell, I need to make a pitch to get funding. I needed to finish that task that I need to turn in, or I need sales because my runway is X amount of time. You have clear goals. Really, nobody could give a darn in the middle how you get there. Nobody's saying you need to be sitting at this desk. So I like to think of it as, well, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna power through. I'm gonna laptop in bed. I'm gonna get some work done, but then I'm gonna go for a drive in Malibu, and I'm gonna get some coffee over there, and I'm gonna look at the ocean and put my feet in the water and like breathe that in and like enjoy that moment. And then I might, come back, and then I might have a late night meeting because I'm talking with people in Asia, and the end of my day, like daylight day, not work day, the end of my day, like 6-ish, 7-ish, is the beginning of theirs. Mm-hmm. So if I had been sitting here, I would have been like working and then been like, oh, it's 5, but I still have to work until like 8 o'clock at night. And you leverage that there is nobody checking in where you are at any point. Yeah. It is, as you get the work done, great, go.
I feel like my life changed so much the minute that I realized that having no work-life balance was not the flex that I thought it was. Being so stressed and always having something to do and working until I fell asleep, not a flex. Not a flex.
Yeah, saying you're busy just means that you're really bad at managing your calendar.
Honestly, and I think that once I realized that, and once I realized this phenomenon that your work will fit the time you give it. And that is true. It seems untrue. It is true. I was able to just see things differently. I had better boundaries with people, with projects, with all these different things. And here with the both of us, we prioritize mental health and we prioritize work-life balance. It's very crucial to us.
Yeah.
And again, part of what's great about not doing the traditional 9 to 5, I have weekly therapy and I have it at 2:00. That's something that I wouldn't be able to do if I was in an office. So I'm grateful that I can do that because I know that's not the case for everybody. But these kinds of things, I don't stress when I have to make a doctor's appointment. It's in the middle of the day and I have to, leave and go do that.
Or if we have sometimes in the consumer goods space, if we need to go check out retail placement or we need to do something in person.
Yeah.
And we've done it before. If it's at, there was one where the location was at City Walk, at Universal City Walk. After we were done, we just went to Universal Studios and we hung out there.
Yeah.
And we were there for a couple hours and
our work still got done.
Our work still got done, but there was not back to the office. It was we did our work. We're going to be getting our work done.
And to me, this is a great way of managing stress.
Is
and
really...
this is not a point to blow off either. If you think of the downfall of any great entrepreneur in the past 100 years, what led to that downfall was probably something stress related that they didn't manage well. They let the stress take control. They made a bad decision because of stress, because of a stressful situation, and that led to them losing everything.
It's either that or syphilis.
The syphilis could have been a result of a stressful situation as well. Let's be real.
I'm just thinking of all those old composers we were
talking
talking
about.
No, I know. We were like,
it was like an inside joke.
It's always syphilis.
It's always syphilis. No, for real though. I think that it's really important.
It's really important, and sometimes people don't think that they have permission to do something like that, or it feels like it's wrong.
Yeah.
And that mindset change that it's really just focused on your results. It's not focused on the time. If an hour a day is getting your growth, checking all your boxes that your company is growing, who the hell cares? Who's you don't care as much. You're not, finding things to do. No, if it takes a long time, well, maybe I need to scale my team because I'm doing too much work. But there's nobody looking at the thing. They're just looking at the results, and that's such a thing to unlearn. To be it's the middle of the day. Am I really gonna go to the Polo Lounge and get drinks in Beverly Hills? Well, yeah, I am, because you know what? I'm getting my stuff done. I'm gonna take my phone. I have a call I can take. There's no imaginary boss right here going where were you? And
there's no chains to your desk.
Keep forgetting that. It's something you got to consistently keep top of mind, and that really does help with stress. Yeah. So, anyways, that was our top 7 list.
Yes, it was.
That was the top 7 of the top 10.
They're just these are the important takeaways, I think.
Yeah. For trying to live that sustainable entrepreneur life, I would call it.
If you wanted to take these things and be really practical about it, what you could do is jot down each of these 7 points, making time to be always learning and managing your stress and financial plan, and then schedule those out into your calendar, your planner, something like that. If that works for you, if you're a person that likes to time block, maybe you make a plan to once a week, every week on Mondays, you set aside 2 hours to be reading a book, to be watching videos, to be learning something about your industry. On Fridays, you set aside the afternoon to do something you enjoy, a hobby, something fun out of your office, out of your house, things like that. That's what I would recommend your next step would be as the viewer, having learned this information and how you can actually apply this to your life.
That was our top 7 list, and if you have other points that you thought were more valid, please put them in the comments. I'd love to talk about them. If you have a different idea on one of those, again, let us know. Send us an email. Let's talk about it. We will see you on Friday, and until then, it's
business as usual.